My name is Efe Paul Azino. I'm a poet and writer. Um, Basically that. I currently have a collection now called For Broken Men Who Cross Often. It's a mixed media work in the sense that it's a book and also has an audio CD, with poems from the book and some poems not in the book but in a CD. So that's out in the market. I'm pushing that at the moment. I'm also working on a production called Finding Home. It's a theatre piece that basically interrogates African international migration, and it's theatre delivered entirely in poetry, directed by Femi Olufowoju Jr. We premiered it sometime last year, but the overall goal is to take it across the continent. So next year we're doing it again in Lagos. We're in Cape Town in February for Infecting the City Festival. We'll be in Accra later next year as well, and in Nairobi also. Then of course I'm directing the Lagos International Poetry Festival, which made its debut this year as well. So we're planning for next year and how to make it bigger, better, and more, on a broader scale. Yes, is poetry getting enough attention? Yes and no. Yes, because I remember in 2008, a friend sent me an invitation for poetry reading somewhere in Lagos, somewhere on the island. And I was very skeptical about it because I thought, a poetry reading, who's going to be in attendance? Who is going to come for a poetry reading? So I was basically expecting, an experience where you have poets reciting to themselves. But I went for this event and it was a full house. It was large turnout of upwardly mobile, largely young people who had gathered, to listen to poetry, and it was back-to-back poetry for over 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and I was taken aback by that, pleasantly surprised. So it's getting attention in that sense, but I think the attention it's getting is the attention being created by the poets themselves, who are creating platforms for themselves with their own money, with their own sweat, and trying to create a space for this extremely important, genre of art. So yes, in that regard, it is getting quite some attention, and no, because it's not getting enough attention in terms of support from government. Yes, probably in terms of grants, but that could be a general problem, but I speak for poetry. In that regard, it's not getting enough support, enough corporate bodies willing to put money down for events and productions of poetry spoken and on the page, as it were. So yes and no, but I think it's in its stride at the moment, and it can only get better, I guess. About that, not having new writers in our curriculum, I think that's because there's a sense in which the academic community is disconnected from Nigeria's creative economy. So you have you have an academic community that still has curriculum designed essentially for the 20th century. So yes, they still have Chinua Achebe, they still have, which they should, I'm not saying that should be taken off the curriculum, they still have the Shoyinkas and all of that, because the academic community is still stuck in Nigeria, is still stuck in that era. So it's disconnected from the artistic community at large. If you find any contemporary writer on the syllabus, you find maybe Chimamanda. And then there's the element of corruption, which you also cannot take away, where you have the person who is approving the syllabus, for example, has a cousin or an uncle who knows an obscure writer somewhere who has a novel, an obscure novel, a collection of poetry, and says, I have somebody that I think whose work should be, in the curriculum, So there's that element of corruption where you don't have people who vet these books, actually engaging with the literary community, actually within that space, reading, keeping their ears to the ground, looking at the works that are coming out, assessing them, looking at their mass appeal or their global appeal, and picking, books for the curriculum based on that. So you have very few things done, on the basis of meritocracy here in Nigeria. So that's another factor. Well, I've been in a few sessions so far at Ake, and I think this year has been. I particularly enlightening because we had these books that tackle these very, very vibrant issues, and you have two very vibrant panelists. Season moderator and Kadria Ahmed. It was a very good session. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's session because I have a session tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that, and to the poetry readings in the evening as well.